You are listening to CMH EPC's Mocktail Hour Podcast. We host a Mocktail Hour once a month where we discuss various topics over cocktails. And for those who don't drink alcohol, mocktails. We are inclusive over here. Sip your favorite cocktail with us or try our featured cocktail as we dialogue. This is an environment to hear new and different perspectives. Everyone's thoughts, feelings, and opinions are valid to them, and in this space, we respect that. And we're back. Haha, did you miss us? We went to the woods for May, so now we're back. We here. We got people in cocktails and not cocktails for the person that's not drinking. Boom shakalaka. Oh, goodness. I would like to take a moment of appreciation for our guests today who have attended our monthly Mocktail Hour and are now here to share their thoughts and opinions with us. We have a number of topics to discuss. You never know what new perspectives you may hear. All right, I'm going to introduce our guests that we have here today. We have a returning guest, Alyssa. She's back. Hi, Liz.
Hey.
Liz is a New York native with Philly roots, now living in Houston. She's an art and design loving foodie who lives for thought-provoking, insightful conversation that inspires all involved. Always pulling up as her authentic self, the Pan Poly Princess, as she's known by some, enjoys fostering Black queer community in whatever space she's in with a welcoming sense of humor and witty banter. She is also now officially a fellow podcaster. Check out her podcast, The People Want to Know Pod, on Spotify and Apple. We also have Jen here, who was born in Laredo, but probably considers herself a Houstonian. But you graduated from school here, right?
Yes,
so,
yes.
Yeah, you're a Houstonian.
Yes, definitely.
She is currently on a journey to find her purpose. She loves great conversation with open-minded people because she believes we can all learn something from everyone, and that is true. And I'm super excited because we have a special guest today, the co-founder and co-producer of Pod and Platformation. The reason you're able to hear us every month, we record here for the Mocktail Hour Podcast. It's Savvy, also known as the corporate trap god, most notably known for his work as a member of the music groups The Hue and HISD. He is also the owner of the boutique record label Peace of Mind Entertainment and Hue Republic lifestyle apparel brand. Welcome, you guys.
What up? What up?
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, thanks for being here. So for our featured cocktail, we are going to Italy. That's where this comes from. I went to Wine Wednesday at Hotel Zaza, and Mionetto was the featured spirit there, and it was the best Prosecco I've ever had. So today we are sipping on the Summer Royale. It is a gin and grapefruit juice with Chambord topped with Mionetto. I'm not usually a fan of grapefruit juice, but let me know what you guys think. Does it taste summery?
It is very grapefruit forward, but it is very summery.
It's very summery. I feel like I'm
feeling royal with the bubbles.
Is it giving you Italy?
It's giving me by the pool.
'Tis the season for Summer Royale.
Agreed.
Drink up.
All right, getting straight into our topics. We ready? It is warm in here. It's June, like it's hot. Lord of mercy.
Summertime. Don't sue me or slap me. William.
The first thing I thought of was when you were here last time, like, we do not own. And I'm like, do we have to do that every single time? Maybe so. I don't know. People are, what is it, litigious? When they want to go to court all the time, is that the word?
Mm-hmm.
Sounds good.
It sounded like
Y'all
a word.
got time and money that I don't have, so I'm going to say it every time. We do not own the rights.
Oh, gosh. All right, let's get started. Why is it difficult to accept what we see and feel intuitively? I was able to say that word without slurring my words. Is it because we don't want to believe it? Like if you feel something?
I think it's because we're attached to something. So it's funny because I was talking to my goddaughter about it today. She's 10. And I was telling her she's into That's So Raven right now. Mm-hmm. She's That's So Raven. So she's like gone back and she loves it. And she's like, I want to have visions. And I'm like, oh, well, some people are blessed with that. Yeah. You don't have that yet, but what we do have is women's intuition. And you'll grow into that and you'll see it. So we started talking about that, and she's like, what is that? Like, you got to pay attention to it. Sometimes it doesn't feel good, and we ignore it all the time. But a lot of times it's because we're attached to something, or we really just want this, whatever it is. Go to the pool. we really want to go to the pool, but that intuition is like, yeah, it doesn't, something might not be going well. Something doesn't feel right. So I think maybe it's like an attachment, or you just really want to do whatever it is. So you kind of, it's kind of like a red flag, like we ignore it.
I agree. I think that like it's definitely tied to wanting something and not being able to like, and not wanting to not have that thing that you want, right? So like if we use the pool example, like, oh, I really want to go to the pool, like, you know, I had it made up in my mind, pool today, I pressed my bathing suit. I don't know if that's a thing people do, but you know, I pulled my bathing suit out last night, you know what I mean, got my Brazilian, now I'm trying to be Chilean by the pool, and my intuition is telling me don't go to the pool. I think that over time you learn that you just gotta listen to your intuition, because you go to the pool and then you drop your phone in the pool, and this could have been something you could have avoided had you not gone to the pool, or you go and you fall asleep and you get sunburned. Like, I think that intuition is just our body, the universe, our guides, whomever, just saying like, hey, I know you really want this, but don't. I'm only gonna tell you, but don't. Like, you have free will, do whatever you want. But maybe don't do this thing that you want.
But for some people, I feel like they have to bump their heads enough, like they don't get it. But I think like once you learn to trust whatever that feeling is, like once you learn what it is and learn how to trust it, then you can move forward. But not everybody's there, so that makes sense too. Because I have a family member, and I won't say which one, but she's definitely like,
shots fired.
Does she know who she is?
I don't know, probably, but she definitely, I feel like she keeps like going through the same life lesson and just hasn't learned and keeps making the same mistakes over and over again. And I'm just like, you haven't figured it out yet, but you're like, you know, older. So yeah, so I don't get it.
Well, growth is not linear, so
It definitely is not.
I get it, but like as you get older, like life is a series of learning experiences, I thought, or for me anyway. So it's like as I live life and as I get older, I've had more experiences, so I've learned more things as I get older as opposed to when I was younger.
Yeah, to your point, I think you begin to you learn to trust that instinct more and more as you get older. You know what I mean? And so like after you bumped your head so many times, it's like, damn, I'm just I'm gonna live in this insanity loop, this stupidity loop, or am I gonna do something different the next time? So you know,
like I don't like the outcome, so change it up.
Oh no, I agree. I'm just saying growth is not linear, but I mean,
no, accurate.
But sometimes the outcome validates whatever trauma or whatever thing you have going on in your head. So like, if you say that, you know, this is X is going to happen to me, right? It's kind of like also, you know, you are manifesting this as well. So it's like a lot of times you validate the thoughts you already had by manifesting this outcome. And sometimes the outcome is validating to you, even if it is a bad outcome. So if somebody is continuing, whether it be dating the wrong guy, dating the wrong girl all the time, it's validating to you to say, oh, I knew that this was gonna happen, or this feels comfortable because we may have been trauma bounded or what have you. So you actually you're in the right in your mind basically when you get that outcome, even though you know fundamentally it's wrong. Like, oh, this is a bad fit, or this guy is beating me up, or whatever it is. You know, it's just toxic. Or guy or girl, you know. But I think sometimes the outcome is actually feeding into that person, and it's so therefore they're not learning because for them it feels comforting in a weird way.
Yeah, I think as humans we're predisposed to want what's probably not best for us. It's almost kind of like a Stockholm syndrome type of thing.
Yes.
And you can't even really explain it. Like, it doesn't make any sense whatsoever or whatever, but you can't help what you like.
Yes.
I can
Like bacon.
Bacon is good. I will, as someone who doesn't even eat pork, I will never stand for bacon slander. I think that when it comes to like not knowing what you like or why you like these things, I think that a lot of it is like childhood trauma. Like, it's like I was having a conversation with a friend of mine, and we were talking about like how our parents don't really realize how much, like, how many poor life skills they instilled in us. Like,
oh gosh, yes.
You know, hey, if a stranger tries to do X, Y, and Z to you, you know, don't let them do it. And it's like, okay, Mom, but like when we were in the house, you like slapped the living daylights out of me. Like, is that okay? Oh, well, it's okay because I love you. Now I'm 22 and in an abusive relationship and thinking this is acceptable because even though this person is physically harming me, it's been reinstilled by my parent that this is a reflection of how someone loves me.
Oh,
you know
yes.
what I mean? Or like even when it comes to communicating and things like that, I think that it's unintentional because especially like in our situation, like we're all people of color. And I think that in our communities, it's to a certain point where not that our family's not that far removed from a survivalist living experience and not so much just a living learning experience like other people might have.
Yes.
Yeah, I had this thing in my early 20s I came up with called the law of the opposites. And it's like sometimes people actually believe that they're actually aligning to the thing that's actually the right thing or listening to their intuition, or they say, oh, I'm about this and I'm about that. But they actually tend to their actions show the complete opposite. And so whenever I listen to people, I was like, okay, they're actually going to do the complete opposite. Like I almost kind of like put it in my head, and I'm like, I want to be surprised that they're going to actually do what they say, but most of the time it's like, you can't, like I said, your nature is what your nature, right?
Exactly.
Sometimes people can't help it. I'm like, okay, they're full of shit.
Yeah.
All right, but okay, but we'll watch, we'll
Right.
let it play out. I'm not going to say nothing. Let's just kind of watch this show.
Oh, I'm saying something. I'm that friend.
It's like, it's interesting because it's like they jump on trends, right?
Right.
So it's like, oh, like whatever trend is happening and I'm this person, I'm that person, I'm into, sound healing and blah, blah, blah. And then, the life that they live is just super negative. And you're like, I don't get it.
I don't think those sounds, the negative ones, will be healing you. Just saying.
That's crazy. Okay. Blank inspires me. Blank inspires me. I'm going to be real broad with it and say life inspires me.
I'm going to have to co-sign the broadness
So
of that.
many things.
I'm going to go with love, actually. So love for me inspires things. I'm really trying to work on myself in loving everyone. And not necessarily, so there's different kinds of love. So I'm not going to love, it's magnitudes of different love as well. So I'm just trying to come and be more intentional with my love. But even love strangers to a certain degree. And certain strangers, I'll just say that. But love, I think love is sometimes underrated because of maybe traumas and things of that baggage that we have. But at the end of the day, I think most people, most people have good intentions. That's what I feel. That's what I'd like to believe. So if we would just lead with love and everybody be inspired by love, it would be a different world for me anyways.
Yeah, for me, like, I just love smart freaking people. They inspire me, like, as a self-proclaimed nerd, like, I always try to surround myself with people who I think are smarter than me in at least one area or one category. And so, like, great dialogue with these types of people is usually where I get inspiration from to create.
And you are creative. You're good at it.
I would say, like Courtney said, life inspires me. I think that so many experiences that I have just living, some of the living is begrudging, but the parts that are not, I find them to be pretty inspiring, like whether they be interactions with people I've known for 100 years or interactions with people I've known for 5 minutes. Like sometimes you just have a conversation and it's like, boop, light bulb, and you feel inspired, whether that inspiration lasts for 20 minutes or the rest of your life. I think that is definitely like a huge point of inspiration. I would say love to an extent, and more power to you for loving everybody because everybody can't get this loving, okay?
I'm working on it.
Not everybody can't get this loving. You know what I mean? I do try to be like a little bit objective to avoid like angering so quickly with other people. But as far as what's inspiring me right now, it's definitely going to be life because it is moving and grooving. And here I am.
Yeah, well, if I could just also add to the love, it's really about, like, right now I'm actually in a period of self-love. So with that, I'm being inspired by the love that I have for myself to do better health-wise, do better mentally, emotionally. Yes. So I'm inspired by the love that I have for myself and the love I have for others, especially, like my God kids. I mean, Courtney knows. I love them to death. They're like I carried them for 9 months. So they inspire me too. With that, I have the inspiration to have self-love, because if I have self-love and I'm taking care of myself, then I can make my life longer for them and to be around for them, because I would love to see big milestones. They're only 10 and one's about to turn 8. So I would love to see graduation of high school, marry someone, go to college. Love to see all that. And I can't do that if I'm not loving myself.
That's
very
right.
True. That's
so
very
starts
true.
with self, man.
Yes.
That was a word right there.
Starts with self-awareness.
Message.
All of it.
I'm gonna get a little bit more.
Yes, please do. That is what it's
Have
there
one for me.
for.
Or
We
two.
have to take
This
a
one's
shot for this one.
What?
Oh,
She's
yikes.
not drinking, so
Yes.
She said have a drink, not do a shot. Shots are in my past.
The pill right there. You poor thing.
Oh.
Oh gosh. Labels. Do you believe in labels, to be boxed into something, or do you just want to be who you are? I don't like labels. I understand the need for them in our society so that people can kind of figure out like where to place you, if that makes sense.
Is that needed though?
I mean, it's how you function in a world with other people. Like, you're a woman, you're a black woman. Like, those are labels.
Right,
Yeah.
but do you think they're necessary? Like, if hypothetically we started a new tomorrow, labelless society, like, so to me, labels are not a necessity.
Mm-hmm.
They're used as a tool to create division, right? And then
Yes.
you've separated everybody, and then you're like, no, forget the labels, because you realize there's, for some people, you're strengthening them in these labels and adding strength to one group under the guise of like labeling and sectioning people off. That means if this group is strong, there's another group that is weak. So in that division, I don't find it to be helpful. Like, under that realm, I understand labels to be able to communicate to other people,
Yeah.
like where we're at now as a society, as a people, whatever kind of people you might be.
That makes sense.
I think that it makes it easier to have conversations, but also in the same token, it takes away from conversations, because once you use a label, you give someone this idea of what you are. Like, oh, well, I'm a 30-something-year-old black woman. Oh, so you want to get married. Oh, so you want to have a husband. Oh, well, I'm a gay black woman. And now that changes your view of me. Or I'm a bisexual black woman. Now that changes your view of me being a black woman.
Yeah.
So every time you add another label into your box, it changes someone's perception of you. And their perception of you is not the reality of what you are.
Right, and it's based on their experience in life
Yeah, ma'am.
and judgment and things. That makes sense.
Yeah, I don't think I'm a fan of... I know I'm not a fan of labels. But I think when I was younger, of course, it was like... because when we were younger, it was just like, are you gay? Are you bi? And that's really, you could... Or straight, right? So it was just like those 3 boxes. But it wasn't like, oh, now we are, trans, pan, there's so much. And so I think... you are right. It really is created to divide folks. I think scientifically we need them so that way you can learn stuff, medically, things of that nature. Like, black people have a high, was it heart disease or something? Whereas Hispanics may have thyroid issues or what have you. This is not anything that I've studied on. I'm just saying these are used for examples, people. But I'm just saying, so as far as labels are concerned medically, like scientifically, I understand them, because you want to understand folks and give the medical attention that folks need in whatever label that you are in. However, sociologically, no, because it does create, these, categories, boxes that you're going to be in, and you can't be anything outside of that, or it comes with prejudgment or pre-notions of whatever that may be. Even just like right now, podcasting, right? No one sees us, but they don't know unless we say, well, sometimes you do, there's some tones that you can, but sometimes you don't know, and you don't know backgrounds. You don't know any way I was raised, any of that. So it's just, I agree with you.
Beautifully said.
Yeah,
Thank you.
man, you guys are just kind of knocking it out the park on these questions. So I'm like, I don't even know what to add. But honestly, yeah, when we talk about labels, for me, on the surface they make me cringe, right?
Mm-hmm.
They do or whatever.
Yes.
But I think there's good and bad in all things. I think it's the intention behind, labeling. Like I said, for certain things that have a certain construct, yeah, labels are probably useful. They're probably actually good, for the progression of maybe science and, being a STEM person. I understand that. But then, like you said, when it comes to like things that of the humanities, maybe not
Yes.
so much. You know what
Right.
I mean? And so what do you do with that? We live in a world that actually now uses and needs labels to kind of put people in boxes and stuff like that.
Yeah.
That kind of makes me that's the part that kind of makes me cringe or whatever. But I mean, I just understand it is what it is, and so you got to learn how to kind of navigate that. But yeah, it's all about the use, right? If it's used for good, I'm for it. If it's used to divide, then not so much. So
Yeah. It's weird because I'm thinking of a conversation I had with my godson. He's about to be turning 8, and he had no idea that I was a lesbian. Like, and I'm like, but he's just a child too, And so he had said something, he's not allowed to say gay or anything like that. And so he spells it out. And he's talking about some kid at his school. So then I'm like, you do know that I'm GAY too, right? And he's like, oh, what? Not the automatic. It was just so like his mind was blown.
Yeah.
And he was like, what? Like, it just reminds me. He was just like, the whole time? Like, sir. Yes, sir.
This whole time?
This whole time. This whole time, sir. And his sister's like, Rory, yes, she's always been this way. This is AJ, And so he's just like, oh my God, I never knew this. But it's just like, and now he keeps it in mind with that. But I don't feel like that was, he didn't label me either. He's not looking at me like, ooh, you are GAY, so, but it's nice to see in kids. I know how they're being raised, so very open-minded individuals, but,
right.
It's funny because he could easily put me in that box and say, I'm not that, and you are now this here. So it's just, I don't know. It's crazy.
Go ahead.
Sorry. I feel like when it comes to the boxes, right, I understand that there's an ease to it, right? But throughout my life experience, I found that like understanding is not always easy, right? So to make something simplistic, and also as an adult, I found that it's a lot easier to learn something than it is to unlearn it, right?
Yes.
So if I learn the existence that there is no box, that's going to be a lot easier for me to process throughout my life than saying, oh, this is a box, but these people are outside of it. Oh, this is a box, but these people are outside of it.
Yeah.
That's a lot more difficult for people, which is why we're having like a lot of these issues where people are like advocating for basic human rights and people are losing their shit. You know what I mean? I think that that's a huge part of, to me, the problem. I think that it seems like in notion, no labels seems like it's helpful, right, for a child, right? But if you learn for 10 years that black is white, that the only two colors there are black and white, and then someone is like, hey, by the way, you ever heard of gray? And you're like, I don't know about no gray. Like, I have to spend 6 months convincing you that gray exists because for the last 20 years, everyone has doubled down that there is only black and white.
Yeah.
Like, I think even when you look back into like the history and like how things became labeled, like even when you think of gender, like gender is not a thing that just was. It was something that was created by someone literally within the last 100 years for the purpose of dividing people, right? When people use a term like, oh, that she's a female, like female was a term that was specifically created to separate black women from other women so that people could do scientific experiments on them. You know what I mean? When you start to get into like why these labels, why these boxes, generally it's more associated with harm than it is with good. The intention was only good, like, well, we don't want white women to feel bad, so we gonna call them females.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? To create that separation in a way to harm other people, in a way to show differentness. Like, oh, I'm a woman, but I'm a black woman. So now there's a divide. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, that's how I feel about it. I feel it does more harm. And even, like, as a kid, it kind of just recently dawned on me, Happy Pride Month, it kind of just recently dawned on me that, like, the first sexuality I ever learned about was heterosexual, but the first word I ever learned related to sexuality was gay. So I just assumed that everyone was heterosexual. Until I learned that you could be something outside of that. And there's a problem in that in itself because basically as a child, I learned that like, oh, like even as a kid, like I am for all I know is you're a boy, that's a girl, and y'all go together.
Yeah.
Because that's what my mom and my dad, my mom is with a guy and my dad is with a girl. And on TV, my cartoon characters that are masculine and feminine go together.
Yes.
Like, you spend your whole life learning these notions, and you get to a point where you force yourself. I mean, for me, I can't speak for everybody else's experience as a queer person, but you spend your whole entire life like beating yourself up for not fitting in these boxes.
Yes. Oh my gosh.
Like,
yes.
and I also was like raised in a very religious, you know what I mean? People used to joke I went to church 8 days a week.
Listen,
okay. So to be like, well, why would God make me this way? If I'm not, like, why would he make me different from everybody else? Like, if you're supposed to be my mans, why you putting me through all this turmoil? Baby, it's hard out here. I'm struggling. Listen. You know what I mean? I'm fighting demons within myself. And even when you start thinking about how people process their gender of what they feel should be and shouldn't be, like, you have this notion of what gender is. So you're trying to fit in this box, and fitting in that box is harmful to you. You know what I mean? Like, there's so much more harm that comes from labels. Like, my intention is not to make anybody's life easier, to give comfort, to give love. Cool. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Here for that. But as far as ease, sometimes shit not easy.
That's life.
Adulting is ghetto. It's not easy. And if I gotta do this shit, y'all could learn about some more genders and sexualities and grow the fuck up.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I'll tell you something that I used to struggle with. It's like and it's not like just the actual, you know, me being a person that appreciate language arts or whatever. So it's not necessarily what you say, it's how you say it. So
Oh yes.
so like the term my man or my woman or my wife or my husband or my
possession.
I was like, man, why does that label, like, to me, like, equates to possession? Like,
It
like
is.
they own you, or
Yes.
like a person owns you or whatever. Like, I've always wanted a person to choose to be with me and me to choose to be, or we're just together.
Yes.
As opposed to like saying, that's my lady, like I own her.
Yes.
Like, no, I don't. Like, I don't own you. But I feel like that dynamic has always kind of been something. I was like, man, like, you don't own my existence. Like you don't. But, you know what I mean? But that's the way, you know, we've been conditioned, you know, by society,
Yes.
is to kind of think of it in that way or whatever. And I'm like, why does it have to be like that? Why can't it be just more like understanding, or, you know, we're here, we're this or we're that, or we're not this or we're not that, as opposed to like, I have to own you. I'm like, to me, like, it's, you know, being a black, well, I identify as Pan-African or whatever, but being a black man in America or whatever, to me, it just sounds like slavery. Like, it just sounds too much like master and slave.
Yeah.
Like, no,
Interesting.
you don't own me.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
but I choose to be with you and you choose to be with me. You know?
Yeah.
Usually-
I like
But
that.
that's I'm going back to the label question. It's like that label is just the way you say it. It's like, oh yeah, that's my lady, that's my man. But no, that's my man. Or that's my. It's
My
the
man, my man, my man.
it's the way you use the language. The emphasis on it makes you feel like, hold up, man.
Yeah.
That actually, I appreciate the passion or whatever, but like, no, I don't belong to you, but
Right.
I belong to you.
Yeah. We go
Yes.
together.
We go together.
Start introducing people like that.
I
We go together.
We go
This is so and so.
Yeah.
I usually say, like, me and my partners have a thing where we say, like, I choose you. Like, I choose you every day. I get up every day because, bitch, I could decide I want to leave tomorrow. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like,
Right.
and I
Yes.
think that,
Absolutely.
like, I agree. The mindness of it definitely feels like it's a possession thing, right? I think that, like, I will say that somebody like, this is my boo or whatever. This
I
is
do
my
it too.
little boo or whatever. Shout out to my little boos wherever y'all be at. But like, in that, they understand that I don't feel as possession. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like, I've had that conversation. I think that not everybody has that conversation. I think that a lot of people navigate things based off of their views of those labels, based off of, like, once I say someone is my boyfriend, you know, this is my boyfriend. Like, he can't be somebody else's boyfriend. He will be, sis. If he want to be somebody else's boyfriend, surprise.
And
you know,
most of them are. Somebody else's boyfriend.
these hoes ain't loyal. Some hoes are loyal, guilty, you know, but not all of them.
Accurate.
Church.
Thank you for giving your time today and for sharing your thoughts and opinions on the various topics we discussed. To our listeners, grow your community and take a moment to like, subscribe, and or follow our guests on their respective platforms. If you would like to tell the people where to follow you, if you want them to follow you, let them know now.
I'm good.
All right.
Jen's like, I'm not on social media.
Yep.
Well, I'm an unexpected guest for today because I usually try to be like more behind the mic or behind the camera or whatever. But
Hey, thank you for being here.
Yeah, so, but yeah, I'm Savvy, and you can follow me on all the platforms, Savvy, at savvy.hue. SAVVI.HUE.
Okay. It's me, Liz. You can follow my podcast, The People Want to Know Pod, on Instagram at ThePPLWANNAKNOWPOD. I know it's long as shit, but work with me, please. And you can search it under the same The People Want to Know spelling on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. And listen, chat me up, let me know, give me the tea. I'll be coming at you every 2 weeks. Bi-weekly, I set realistic expectations for myself. And it's every 2 weeks.
Yeah.
If you're a local in the Houston, Texas area, we'd like to meet you in person at our next Mocktail Hour. It is every last Sunday of the month. Visit CMH EPC on Facebook or Instagram, or go to our website, www.cmhepc.com, for more details.